Toolkit, your client relationship simplified. Hi, this is Sarah with Toolkit. This video is on how to automate your business processes in Toolkit with Copilot. Let's dive in. What is an automated process and why should you use it? An automated process is a means to replicate your business processes. Typically, a sequence of multiple steps, perhaps performed by multiple people in your business. For instance, you may have a process to follow up after you meet with a prospect, another process when that prospect becomes a client, or perhaps a process for completing a series of administrative tasks that occur periodically. Activating Toolkit's automated processes will generate actionable steps and sequence on your calendar and task center for you and your team. Whatever your process, the value is in the fact that you can automate it within Toolkit so that you deliver the process consistently each and every time. This ensures nothing slips through the cracks and you and your team are efficient and accountable. Before we get started, you need to know automating your processes has two parts. The first part is to name your process, and part two is to add steps to this process. Let's dive into Toolkit to see how you can create your very own automated processes. Start off by heading over to the Processes tab on the top navigation bar. Once you're in this tab, click on this orange button that says Add Automated Processes. Here you can name your business process and add a description. Let's create an onboarding process for new clients. I'll want to apply this process every time a new client signs up for my services. In this case, I will name it New Client Onboarding Process, and then click Save. Now that we've named our automated process, let's move on to the second part, creating and adding steps to the process. To do this, expand the automated process and click on the orange button that says Add Steps. You have the option to choose whether you want this activity to be an appointment or a task under the activity type. In our case, let's make this a task so that it shows on my task list. I'll start by adding a subject to the first step in my new client onboarding process, which is to send a welcome email to my new client. You can choose a location if you like and add a start and end time. I want this to always be sent out right away, so I'll set it to earlier in the morning. Day offset is an important field. This is the number in days from the previous step. I'll dive into that further when I create a second step. Now, I can either assign this task to myself, my assistant, or anyone on the team. For this example, I'm giving it to myself. So, let's choose Contacts Owner from the drop-down. You'll also see that under Sequence, this is the first step in the process. This field will allow you to reorder steps in the future if you like. Once it's filled out, click Save, and you've now successfully created your first step. Continuing on with the second step in the process, I'll click Add Steps again. I'm going to choose my activity type as an appointment this time because I want this step to show up on the calendar. I'll name this second step as Schedule Client Onboard Meeting. I'll select the appointment type as a phone call, then the start and end time again for earlier in the morning. I want this phone call to be made exactly one day after sending that first email, so I'm going to put 1 within day offset, meaning this appointment will appear on the calendar one day after the first step in the process. And I'm also going to select Rollover, which means this appointment will automatically move this step over to the next day if it is left uncompleted. And for this step, I want my assistant to schedule the onboard call, so I will select Owner's Assistant as the assignee type. On a side note, make sure your assistant is linked to you through the settings in Team Members. My second step is complete. Let's save this. Let's also quickly create a third step in the process to set up the client's portal access. I'll set the day offset one day after my onboarding meeting. Let's assign this to my assistant. Now you can see under Sequence, this is the third step in the process. Let's save this. You can create as many steps as you like in your automated processes. For now, I will consider this automated process complete. You can see what you have created by expanding the process. This table will provide you and your team with an overview of all the steps in the entire process. Now that we've created an automated process, let's see how simple it is to apply this to a client. Head over to a contact. Click on the Actions button in the top right corner and select Apply Process. Click the search icon and select the one we just created. The next set of options includes the ability to make this process dynamic. If you select Dynamic Process, it creates a chain between all your steps. This means that if a step is moved forward, all subsequent steps in the process will also move by the same number of days. If this option is not selected, all steps behave independently of one another. You also have the option to select Weekend Avoidance, which comes in handy to ensure steps do not land on weekends. When enabled, if a step lands on a Saturday, it will move to Friday. If a step lands on a Sunday, it will move to Monday. The last part of applying my process is to set the initialization date. Let's assume my client signed the paperwork today, so let's trigger this for today. Once done, click Save. Toolkit will do all the processing on the back end and create the appointments and tasks in the calendar or the task center, all with the click of a button. Let's check it out. As you can see here, the task and the appointment has been created automatically and assigned to me and my assistant. Because of the Processes feature, our team can deliver a very consistent onboarding process each and every time. If you feel like you need additional step-by-step instruction, you can always refer to the Toolkit training manual within the main drop-down menu. Visit us on our website or reach out to us if you have questions. Thanks for watching.